right. All right, welcome everybody to the stream of Card Consciousness. I'm Mark Ford in Haines City, Florida, and a big welcome and hello to my partner and co-host Greg Smith, straight out of Navarre, Florida, up in the Panhandle, the Florida gang. How you doing today, Greg?
Hey, I'm doing good, Mark. How you doing today, man?
Doing real good. Good to see you. Repping your Dolphins.
Yeah,
And, you
too
got
up.
to. All right. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different show on cards, baseball cards, sports cards, but more about the story of the cards, the people behind them, the personal relationships. And if you want, Greg, you tell me a little bit about how you got into sports cards from when you were younger on through to today.
Well, I grew up in St. Pete, Florida. Started collecting about 1978, I'd say, and just really, I was the only child, single mom, and I lived in an apartment complex. I had a lot of friends, but just really was into sports from when I can remember, and cards were a big deal for me back then. Just collected really hard for probably about 78 to 1990. Typical high school stuff, sports, girls. Always had this side thing of cards though that back then it was different. I basically started the whole 80s. Everybody was doing it. Everybody was collecting cards and trying to build a fortune and whatever. And I just was so into it, and really full speed ahead until summer of 1990. And I had a buddy of mine, well, buddy, I say, guy I worked with at Publix named Bob, and he decided he's going to go ahead and just help himself to my 105,000 cards. So, pretty much killed it for me for 29 years. Right before the pandemic started, I got a box sent to me from a cousin of mine in Austin, Texas, my cousin Chris, and she sent me just some random stuff. Said she took it to a card shop, and the guy had offered her $20 for the box, and she sent it to me. No questions asked. She said I could have it, and it had a 60 Banks and like things like a 59 Koufax, 59 Maris, some really nice cards. And I called her up and said, "Man, these are great. I'm glad that you didn't sell them for $20, because I mean, shoot, there was 15 or 20 cards in that box worth $20." And kind of got me going at that point. And then my father-in-law got cancer and told me to go into his closet and pull out a couple of boxes of cards and take a look at them. And he had some really, really good stuff in there, some 50s and 60s, some Mantles, and, pretty much about 45% of a bunch of sets and things like that. So it got me just instantly hooked again. And ever since then, it's just been off to the races. It's joining these groups that we've been in and being able to reach out and touch, in an indirect kind of way. But, it's been nice to be able to connect with some of these folks. As you get older, it gets a little bit harder to make real good connections with people. Time, marriage, kids, whatever. And it's been great. It's been a good tonic for me the last couple of years, just everybody being a little bit socially isolated, a little bit more normal, I think. So that's really my story. It's not a real long-winded thing. I love it, and it keeps me busy. It keeps me engaged. I'm retired, so I've had the good fortune of being able to do that at an earlier age. I'm 52, so I've been able to retire and just kind of focus on family and my collecting. So that's really all I've got, Mark.
Right on.
Hear your story, man.
Oh, my story is something. I grew up in the middle of nowhere and see my dogs. See, it'll be a different show, people. The dogs coming in and out. So if you're looking for investment advice and all that, go watch somebody else. This is a different deal. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Western New York, about 40 miles south of Buffalo, and I'm adopted. So my sisters are quite a bit older. So I wasn't an only child, but it was just me because my sisters are on their way in different school and stuff like that. And so the baseball cards are my friends. I mean, I didn't have a neighbor on either side of me for like a mile on either side.
Oh, wow.
So it was like my window to the world. And I love baseball and football, Buffalo Bills, obviously, still season tickets and crazy fan and all that. And that's the beauty of relationship is Greg loves the Dolphins and I love the Bills, but we still love each other. You know what I mean? So, and
You randomly pop up in Buffalo. I see on your Facebook. Just you live
yeah,
in Florida, but
I
you
get
just fly out
back,
to Buffalo.
Yeah, why is he in Buffalo? Because he loves to be cold and miserable. But hey, I love the football team. What can I say? So then, similar to you, collected from when I was like 8, 9 years old. I go to this little store in this little nowhere town, Arcade, New York, and Arcade Deli, and I'd get, I'd help my dad do chores and stuff, and he'd give me some baseball cards, football cards. And then, when I got to high school, as you see in the wall behind, guitars, rock and roll, all that stuff kind of took over. It wasn't really cool. This is in the early 80s. You're not going to collect baseball cards. Then I really got away from it. And then along with that lifestyle, came some other things. And so I got back into cards probably late 80s, early 90s. God bless my wife. We're still together, high school sweethearts, but she spent many hours in card shops, dusty old card shops, looking at baseball cards, football cards, because it was a way to, heal my mind, so to speak, and take my mind off things I shouldn't have been doing. And then family, work, all that gets in, and I stopped collecting. I saved everything that I had. Fortunately, I didn't have somebody like Bob from Publix to take my stuff. So shame on you, Bob from Publix. You know who you are. So that's not cool. Don't condone it. Because I know Greg, and he would probably would have gave them to you. So you didn't have to steal Greg's cards, all right? So I'm calling you out, Bob from Publix.
Yeah.
And so then with the pandemic, I had my own business doing property preservation on vacant and foreclosed properties. And when the pandemic came, that stopped. So I basically lost my business. And, I pulled out my cards and I kept everything. And I'm like, these have been sitting in a box for 30 years. And I stumbled on the Facebook forums, the sales forums, vintage sales, fire sales, and started interacting with people and selling some cards on there just to bring people joy through what I had, because something's going to sit in the box for 30, 40 years. What point is it? And so I was able to basically, other than the Hank Aaron's that I had when I was a kid, basically every card other than the Buffalo Bills and some Hank Aaron's, I've moved on to other people and been able to take that and, get a few cards that I really wanted and that I didn't think I'd be able to get when I was a kid. So I'm my niche. I'm like the 25, 50-cent card guy because, nobody really wants to do that. But there's an avenue for that and people that enjoy those things. But more so it's the relationships. Um, you know, I had over the summer, I had a bit of a difficult time. Uh, I've been in sports, coach sports for like 25 years and I had the opportunity to be an athletic director at a school. And, that's the pinnacle. And, Greg, in Florida, high school sports, people have no idea. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's like a college program.
Sure.
The pressure is incredible. The expectations are incredible. And, but it's also kind of the pinnacle. So I'm an AD and it's going not real well. And it didn't really work out for me. So, I got my dream job and it blew up in about 30 days and spectacular flame out. And, you and, some other people were able to, talk to me and were there for me and, through cards, not just, we're talking about cars, but then I drop in, hey, Greg, this happened today or that happened today. So it's the relationships for me that are incredible. I mean, it's just a piece of cardboard really at the end of the day, but it's the people that we meet and the stories behind that cardboard that really impact me. So
I agree with you fully, and I was thinking about that the other day. It's weird the dichotomy that you have with all these folks in these different groups, and I'm on a couple of different Facebook groups, and a couple of different groups outside of Facebook, and it's really it's a subculture that really is thriving, and it's a lot of people who aren't involved in it don't realize how impactful and busy and just I feel like I know these people even though I've never actually met you in person. I feel like I know you, and I feel that way with a few different people through this medium. But it's been, like I said earlier, it sounds like it's been the same for you. It's been really a good mental health help, over the last couple of years. And I don't think people think about that enough as you get older. The need to occupy your mind. it totally goes in a different direction than it did when you were younger. And I think about it every day and thank God. And at the end of the day, like you said, it is just cardboard, but there's a lot to it, and a lot of good relationships being built by doing this. So, and you're the 25. I consider you the king of the 25, 50 cent cards, man. It's a grind. It's a grind, and but you have your niche, you have your thing, and people eat it up. And I struggle to find a niche, not a niche, I guess. I mean, I'm usually $10 and under, but I struggle to find a direction for my collecting, I guess is the best way to put that. I've got, just boxes and boxes, and my wife's always getting on me, hey, what are you going to do with all this? And being in the group has helped me kind of narrow down a little bit more what I'm trying to do, and I haven't really picked your brain as far as that goes yet, but are you just a player collector? Do you go after sets? What do you try to collect? Bills, I know that for sure.
Oh yeah. I'm if it's red, white, and blue Buffalo Bills, I'm gonna get it. And I probably have way too many 1979 Terry Miller cards and 1975 Bob Chandlers, and it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
But as far as that's what's funny is how we collect. I mean, you've benefited from this. You've got a lot of Miami Dolphin cards from me. I just can't have it in the house. If it's not the Buffalo Bills, and that's the thing, and that helped me move my collection out of my closet and get me doing the 25 cent, 50 cent. I have a lot of nicer other things too, but that's not my jam. But it's like, I don't enjoy it. I got a Joe Montana in my hands, or whoever, Joe Namath. It does nothing for me. It's not the Buffalo Bills. I only love the Buffalo Bills. So, I don't look at it as dollars. For me, the worst thing is, oh, that's worth, $50, $100, $200. And somebody asks, whatever, who cares? It's just not my thing. I get far more joy out of a dollar Haven Moses card than I would out of a $100 Joe Namath, so that's how I work. But I'm not so with football, I'm specific. Buffalo, that's it. I have very few other cards. And the thing with baseball, being in the middle of nowhere, Buffalo didn't have a major league team. So I'm able to enjoy more. Hank Aaron was my guy when I was a kid. I was fortunate enough to meet him when I was younger, and when he was working for the Braves. This is a figurehead job, and one of the best experiences of my life was spending an hour with Hank Aaron in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And so with baseball,
what do you do in the presence of somebody like that? What did y'all do for that hour?
Well, here we go. This is a different show, folks. So my uncle, he was at the forefront of like audio, video tech in the late 70s, and multi-camera, that type of thing. And so he worked for the Braves. And so we're visiting my uncle, and I'm like, hey, you want to go down to Atlanta Fulton County and show you around the stadium? Oh yeah, great. Hey, Uncle Bob. And so we're there, and he said, I'd like to meet Hank Aaron. And he knew I was a Hank Aaron fan. 89 years old. He was the man. So he takes me up into Hank Aaron's office. He was the VP. And hello, Mr. Aaron, how are you? My name's Mark. My dad always taught me to be very polite in the presence of adults and don't speak unless spoken to, and that type of thing.
Old school stuff.
Yeah. And so we're talking. He said, "What do you know about him? What do you know about me?" I'm like, 755 home runs, this, that, the other thing. You're the man. And
you remember? Not to interrupt you, Mark. You remember that reading is fundamental commercial that he was on?
Yeah, absolutely.
755. Yeah. He said that, and that made me think about that. But anyways, go ahead. I digress.
No worries. And so he's like, "How'd you like, to tour the stadium?" I'm like, "You got to be really busy, Mr. Aaron." He said, "No, you don't have to call me Mr. Aaron, but that's nice, Mark. But he said, between me and you, I really have nothing to do." I'm like, "What?" He said, "No, but you're the vice president, Mr. Aaron." Yeah, well, when you get older, you'll understand what I'm telling you right now. But let's take a walk, So it was really great. Here I am on my idol, my hero, Hank Aaron. God bless him. Walking through the stadium, and he takes me down on the field and through the clubhouse, and I'm hand in hand with my hero. Literally, he's holding my hand. I'm like little 8-year-old boy from middle of nowhere, and he's telling me about this. He's showing me that, and just spend like an hour with them. and didn't really talk about baseball, sports, anything like that. And that kind of made a big impact on my life, how I am with people, because it was just being together. We were just together. We were just hanging out. There was
Yeah.
no like hero worship for me as a little boy. There was no, hey, I'm Hank Aaron from him. It was just a little boy with his hero, and we were just talking about, like, he'd ask about my sisters and my dad and my mom and this and that and where I lived, and we didn't even. And at the end of the day, it was just beautiful. And so from that point on, it was just like Hank Aaron, and but so with baseball, I'm a little more varied. I like as you know. I like kind of weird, odd things. I'm more about the setting, the place, the picture. I'll get a card there'll be something in the background. I'm like, oh wow, that's really neat. Living here in Florida, Winter Haven. It's like the 1972 Red Sox. Almost all of those cards were shot at Chain of Lake Stadium in Winter Haven. So there'll be little pieces of that stadium which is still there. And I have been known to jump the fence a time or two at Chain of Lakes because it's vacant now.
Yeah.
But I got some good pictures of it. So I like things with like local background. The Tigers are in Lakeland, Joker Marchand Stadium.
Hmm.
Older cards. I like 1953 Bowman color because of some of the pictures, and you can catch something in the background. 51 Bowman, New York Giants. They train in Sanford, Florida, and there'll be a signboard on the outfield fence from a local business at the time. So I think for
Oh
that,
wow.
yeah. So that's more 1959 Reds, 1959 Topps Reds are out in Tampa. I believe that's Plant Stadium,
Yeah, yeah,
and
Plant City.
yeah, and those are great. So things like that, I'm really into, and the beauty of that is it only costs a few dollars. It's not really expensive. I have all the Luke Easter cards. He
Yeah,
was
that's
a
your
former.
guy, Luke
That's my
Easter.
guy,
Love
Luke
Luke Easter.
Easter, and then Andre Dawson. Dawson with the Expos, just because just they're beautiful cards. Every Andre Dawson card when he's with the Expos is just, to me, just the swing and the stance. It really captures like the beauty of the man and the beauty of the game. I wasn't the biggest Andre Dawson fan growing up. Just since I've got back into collecting, it's like, oh my God, these Andre Dawson with the Expos are just beautiful. And like the
Yeah,
1985 Donruss Andre Dawson to me is just a sensational card. So
yeah. It's
that makes it fun.
that whole
Yeah.
set is something else, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Just you're you're enamored with Andre Dawson cards. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
And
pretty
I'm the
dedicated.
same way. I'm a big Red Sox fan, and I'm Chain of Lakes. I went there as a kid, and I remember it. And older ballpark. But my weakness is Rod Carew cards for some reason. I imitated him when I was little, that batting stance, and it's funny you say the Andre because I relate completely with Rod Carew. And being a Red Sox fan, that makes no sense. Um, it should be Yaz, Bryce, Lynn, all those guys, but Rod Carew really spoke to me for some reason. So,
Right.
it's funny that you say that. But it's I have some similar stories, and I was thinking about what you were saying when you were talking about um, not hero worshiping, and when you grow up around, like you said, you had some access to some things that most people don't have with Hank Aaron, leading you around the stadium in the bowels of a stadium, which is cool. You know, I had the same thing with a family friend who was playing for the Dodgers. His name was Dave Anderson, and he had some modest success in the '80s, and he was a family friend, and he got me access to all kinds of cool stuff. And it's weird how that works when you have living down where you live and where I'm from. I'm from the same place that you live now. I'm from Orlando. Um, you see a lot of people out and about. We used to see Shaquille O'Neal all the time, and it just after a while it gets to the point where it's like it's not really that big of a deal.
Right.
And I think that's cool for the athlete too, because you don't have to put on airs or worry about people just hounding you if you've got that. So I think that's cool. Your story with Hank Aaron, that's very neat. And I didn't know that. And I know about your thing with Andre. I've been searching high and low for Andres you don't have in Expos uniforms, and I found a couple. So be ready because I've
Well,
got a
I'm
couple coming
grateful,
for you.
yeah, because it's funny. Once he went to the Cubs, it didn't have that same resonance for whatever reason, and it's a white uniform, blue uniform, but it just Dawson with the Expos, those cards are just
They,
unbelievable.
they
I
really
mean,
are,
it's
and I think
just
that whole
baseball.
yeah, that whole '85 Donruss set really hits. I think a lot of people, the colors and the vibrance and the black borders and things like that. You know, I've always been a big fan of that, and everybody loves 84 Donruss, but I think the 85s are actually better, you know, better pictures and better photography, really.
Right. Well, you know why they love 84, because they're counting pennies, and 84 is allegedly scarce, and you know how it is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily
we could never find those back in the day.
Right.
I remember that.
It's just a small print run, and you know, the giants of the card shows will tell you all about it, but that's not us. So
yeah, that is not us. And this is why I like this, though, because we can just get on here and you know, this is our first broadcast or first episode, but you know, we plan on doing a lot of different things, and you and I have talked quite a bit about some grand plans and what we want to do, and you know, we're just here to like the name of the show, it's just a stream of card consciousness. And it's, you know, I listen to these shows sometimes, and in the car, or I don't listen to them much at home, but when I'm driving around, I'll put YouTube on the Bluetooth or whatever. And some of these shows just are trying to be too over the top, and controversy, you know, you want it to be interesting, but you also don't want it to be so just over the top. And you know, some of them are guilty of being a little bit too dry, I think. You know, sometimes you got to mix it up a little, but you also want to just be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, you and I have been talking for the last couple of weeks about different things, you know, that we can do with this show. And I'm excited about it. I just, you know, I think it's going to be really good. And I'm very excited about the direction I think we could go in. Got to work on the backdrop a little bit here in my picture.
Well, that's the beauty of it, though, Greg. And like, I mean, no pretension. I mean, for me, you know, you watch the shows and you see they got their pile of their boxes of their cards, and they got their backdrop, and they got this, and it just screams like, look at me. This isn't about look at me. This is about like, look at Greg. This is, you know, I got my dog here, you know, I'm sitting in my daughter's room, you know, these are my guitars up on her wall. But other than that, you know, there's no pretension, no look at me, you know, I got $100,000 cards, and, you know, I got the beast, and no, it's, you know, it's about us. It's about the relationship and granted, I can't wait to bring in other people that we know, people in the hobby, people that we run across on the sales sites. You know, bringing in our buddy James Crawford from Alabama. Hopefully he'll be one of the next people on, and he's a huge Dale Murphy guy. I've never my dedication to Andre Dawson. Well, I got nothing on James, because this guy's the Dale Murphy king, and that's the beauty of it, is that's his guy. He has a connection to it. There's a reasoning behind it. It's not about the money. It's about him and Dale, like me with Hank, me with Luke Easter, me with Andre Dawson, you know, yourself with the Red Sox, with Carl Yastrzemski, and you have a thing for O-Pee-Chee, like O-Pee-Chee cards. You're the O-Pee-Chee king, and you know, oh, you'll send me something. Oh my God, Mark, I got this O-Pee-Chee card. Well, oh wow, that's great, Greg. You know, but it resonates with you, and at the end of the day, you know, most of the cards, like we're showing each other. Well, yesterday, you know, I call it tonnage, all right? So this is being the 25-cent, 50-cent can. I don't care. I'll tell people where I get my stuff. I got on Goodwill auction, all right? And, hey, Greg, I got 50 pounds coming. And that's a dedication to, you know, sifting through 50 pounds of cards, A, not knowing what you're going to get, but B, I really don't care, because it's a couple hours of fun, and it's cathartic. And a good example, yesterday, I'm going through 89 score baseball, and Craig Nettles flips over, and I see Greg Nettles hit 390 home runs, and he was with the Expos. I didn't realize that he played for the Expos. There you go, right? That's it. And so you learn something, and it takes me back to when I was a kid, because I studied the baseball cards. That's, you know, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't 8,000 channels of TV, there wasn't what we're doing right now, me and you. So it was so cool, because again, all of a sudden I was like a 10-year-old kid looking at Greg Nettles card, A, not realizing he played for the Expos, B, not realizing he had 390 home runs, which C leads me to maybe he should be in the Hall of Fame. But you see that progression of how it works. It wasn't about, that's a 10-cent card sitting on the ground that I got in 50 pounds of junk, basically.
Yeah.
So that's where that enjoyment of it for me comes from. And I'm fortunate that, you know, my family supports it. They know that it's good for Dad to just chill out, and, you know, most of it goes in the garbage anyways, so it's not like it's cluttering up the house. But
I
I
think
sent you, hey, look, I got an Andre Dawson, Greg.
yeah, you do all the time. I see your Andres. I think it's hilarious that you call it that you. How many cards are in a pound?
Oh man, I don't know. It's mind numbing. It's just I love it though. I
All
can't
right.
help
Well,
it. It's like a
by the
total.
time we do our next one, I want to know
I'm
how
gonna.
many
I
cards are in a
will.
pound.
I will count out and see how many are in a pound because yeah, I'm estimating. Out of 50 pounds, maybe I keep 2 pounds, and but then
That's
that.
awesome.
But
You'll
that.
you'll go through boxes and boxes of that stuff, and you'll send me pictures, man. And you're just like, here's what I got out of that 50 pounds.
50
But
pounds, I got like a pound and a half.
yeah,
So it's
there's
mining
stuff
for
that you
gold.
like, and it usually
Mhm.
pays for itself, so that's
It
good.
does. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not again, it's not a money thing, not a monetary thing. I enjoy the sales and as an example, when I was kind of struggling with that change of life, the 80 thing blew up. Not just you and James, there's some other people that reached out to me. Hey Mark, hey brother, hope you're doing all right, and the next friend I make on eBay is the first friend I make on eBay. You know
right.
what I'm saying? So
Yes.
this is where it gets to where it's more the relationship. And yeah, obviously as we go forward with the show, we're going to talk about our favorite this and that and show you cards and getting more into that aspect of it. But Greg and myself just felt for today. Hey, this is me, Mark Ford. This is Greg, and we're representative of the 99%. That's what we said. And
Yeah.
there's only that 1% of that upper tier jabs and all those guys that are Patreon and pay for this and break this and do that. Most people are me and Greg.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hopefully,
I'd say 99%. And it's funny that you say that too, because there's been some instances lately on in those forums where I'll post a thanks, right? Just for somebody sending me something nice. And it's flexing. People will start posting their
right, right,
PSAs and it's like, here, look at me. And I'm like, that is not the purpose of why 99% of us do this. I mean,
right,
sure, do I like finding a card and you know finding a card for $5 that's worth 20? Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like that? But
right.
that's not my main driver in this.
No,
um it's like alluding back to what I said a little while ago. I mean, it's just it's an elixir almost for me. It gives me something to do now that I'm not working full time, or not really at all, which is by choice. um it gives me an outlet, and it sounds like it gives you a pretty similar outlet as well.
right.
And meeting these folks in these groups has been fantastic for me. So, and it sounds like, I didn't realize when you were going through what you were going through that you were having that much trouble with your thing at school. um we can talk more about that at a later time if you
Oh
want,
yeah,
but
I'm an open book anytime.
yeah, it just
Anytime.
seemed like you were not very happy, and you could tell that. So, it's been good for a lot of people, and I think, just you and I talking over the last several months, um, we've personally known people that have had beneficial interactions with us and us with them as well.
Sure.
So I think it's great, and I think we are, like you said a minute ago, the common man in this collecting universe. So I love it. It's hard to describe. It's like a I don't know the best way to describe the relationship I have with the hobby, but wonderful is a good word for it. So, and it sounds like it's the same for you, and
Oh,
I know it's the
definitely.
same for a lot of people. So
When you talk about the other people, and hopefully we'll have a few of those people on, and that's their story to tell. And the one thing, me and Greg, we're not going to name names.
sure,
Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, that's their story to tell. If they want to tell it, fine. But I know that I've had some pretty serious discussions with people that were struggling, and I'm honestly there for them. Look, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I'm there for you. I know that you and James, with the hurricanes that came through, hey, come on up, brother. Bring the family, bring the dogs, and that's a wonderful thing. Where else are you going to get that? And it all started with some cardboard, and but
right,
it was honest, and I would do the same. Hey, if you need it, my doors are open. And that's a beautiful thing, and that transcends value when somebody ask how much is this, is how much is that. Well, how much is what's in your heart?
Right,
That's
right.
that's what it's and then when I do send out cards, actually you gave me this piece of advice, like, hey Mark, when you send these cards to people, just put in a note that, you got a bunch of extra cards, because, I was having a thing where people were sending me messages like, hey man, you sent me somebody else's cards. No, because that's what I do. Because that just,
Yeah,
when you got a mountain of like 1987, 88, 89, 90, somebody gets 50 cards from you, you can put in 10 more, because it's really not going to hurt you. And I don't do it
right.
for money, so I really don't care, and then but it means something to them. Like, wow, you didn't have to do that. And yeah, I did, because, you took the time to hang out with me on a Saturday afternoon and go through all my silly cards, and
Right.
it's worth it. Yeah, you're worth it. What is it? It's time. It's not really money. It doesn't matter. So that's the thing, when you start putting that monetary value on everything, and obviously we do. We can't operate at a loss, then it ceases to function. But that personal connection, I love it. When somebody says, "Hey, thanks, that was great," or I'll ask somebody, "Hey, what's your favorite team?" I'll send out 10 or so cards from that team, or if they have a
Sure.
certain player that they collect, and it
Well, I've got
also
a whole
helps.
Dolphins box that I never would have even thought I would have from years. That collecting was like the dark ages to me. And you've sent me a bunch of cards that I really just love. So, it's like you said. I mean, it's, I always wonder what I'm going to get when I get a Mark Ford package. It's kind of funny.
No kidding. You could get a really off-center Eric Davis rookie card,
Oh, yeah.
miscut, or you could get a $4,000 Jose Uribe.
Yeah. Which I've gotten both. And,
Yeah, that's funny.
the Jose Uribe, that's so funny.
Ricky Stanzi autograph.
Yeah. The
everybody needs
autos that
that.
you said, man, it just blow my mind. I got a Bryn Smith 85
Yeah,
Donruss autograph.
Yeah. Well, and that's a story too for I'm into TTM through the mail autographs, and I'm not chasing Hall of Famers, because I'm not paying $15-$20 for something that may or may not come back. So I
Yeah.
do have a pretty eclectic autograph collection. And
How many autographs would you say you have, man?
probably 500.
Yeah.
Which is, and believe it or not, it's probably a small number in comparison to other guys that are giants at that. But and I've made a good relationship with Johnny Serrano. He's on YouTube. He's got a great channel for TTM. Check out Johnny Serrano. I sent him. We also have a soccer team, a women's soccer team, that tier 2 women's soccer team called Unity FC, that plays one notch below NWSL and United Women's Soccer. So I sent him a whole bunch of stuff from the team and some autograph cards from our players, and he thought that was the greatest thing, man. It blew his mind. So again,
That's
that
cool.
relationship, and so Johnny sent me back some cards that autograph Frank Tanana and a couple other dudes and that.
Okay.
So, but that's the thing, you build the relationship. And so yeah, I like Johnny. Johnny's a good dude.
Johnny Serrano is his name?
Yeah, Johnny Serrano. He's on
Okay.
YouTube. Yeah,
I'll have to
Johnny
check that
Serrano.
out.
He's fun. And the thing about Johnny, he's just like us. I mean, he's just like, he's not pretentious. He's like, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
I got a Walt Terrell.
Walt Terrell. That's pretty funny.
Tommy Henzo.
Yeah,
man,
that's pretty funny. So who have you ever sent off? I mean, I guess we don't need to name names, but have you ever sent off anyone like big time that just didn't respond? I've always wondered about that.
No, I try to not to I don't want that disappointment.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I'm really good friends with Clarence Scott, and he calls me every Wednesday.
Yeah,
So,
is he still calling you every Wednesday?
Oh yeah, Clarence. Yeah, he didn't call me this Wednesday, so I'm a little worried. But hopefully Clarence is all right. But
now to clarify, he was a defensive back for the Browns, right?
The Browns, right? Okay. So I sent Clarence. I heard him on a podcast, on a TTM podcast. So I sent him a note and a card, and whenever I send card, I try to send 2 or 3 extras. I say keep the extras as a thank you, and inevitably they usually sign them all. But he did keep the extras. He sends me back a note, thank you, this, that, the other thing. Give me your phone number. So I write him back. I also had another pile of Clarence Scott cards. Give him my phone number. Well, lo and behold, Clarence Scott calls me and just started. Oh my God, what a wonderful man! So I urge anybody and you can find it on Sports Card Forum, Clarence Scott. And trust me, he'll love the attention. This isn't one of those where he doesn't want to get bombarded. If you write to Clarence Scott, not only will he write you back, he will call you on the phone if you give him your phone number. And it's just been marvelous. So, and I guess the thing with Clarence is when he didn't call me on Wednesday, I'm like worried about him. And it's like the messages back and forth. And when he says, I love you, brother, he means it. I mean, he's a guy that played 12 years in the NFL, and we're sharing personal stories about family and about life. And again, it's almost back to that time with Hank Aaron where we're not talking about football. We're talking about, and that's the ultimate. Yeah, the guy's a football player, but he's also a wonderful human being, a great man. And, he recognizes some similarities, and, he asks about my kids and my family, and,
where does he live?
He lives in, up in Atlanta way, Stone Mountain.
Okay. He was pretty decent. I looked him up after you and I talked about him one time. He had a pretty good career.
He sure did. And he'll tell you about the one game he missed and how Sam Rutigliano didn't put him in and he could have played. So trust me, Clarence, don't forget nothing. So I guess the best Clarence Scott story, to be real quick on Clarence Scott, but he won't want me telling it. So everybody in Cleveland wanted Jack Tatum because Jack Tatum was the Ohio State All-American safety, and they drafted little old Clarence out of K-State, and they didn't want me, and well, they booed Clarence, and they didn't like Clarence, and well, opening day, first time I'm out on the field, and well, I intercepted a pass, and they said, all right, Clarence, he ain't bad. Well, later in the game, I intercepted another pass, I took it back for a touchdown. Well, they don't boo Clarence no more. I'm like, it's great, And then but through all of that, and he's in the Cleveland Browns Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame. What he talks about the most is that he didn't get to play in Kansas City in like 1978, and he could have played, and Sam Rutigliano wouldn't put him in. And that's the thing. That's a mark of the man, that all the accomplishments, all the great things, and it's no wonder that he calls me every Wednesday and calls me brother, because he's just a great, great guy. And that one thing sticks out, and that's kind of the way I am. And I need to do better at that, because if I do 99 things right, I'm going to worry about the one thing I did wrong.
Yep.
And I think that's part of what led to, my spectacular flame out as an athletic director, was there was more than one thing wrong going on, and it was very tough, but that all works out. Now I'm teaching history at a school, and, my dream when I was a kid was to be a history teacher, and I am, so it worked out. And it's so funny. My dad always told me, what's the beauty of this show? See, people, this isn't just about cards. My dad always told me, you can do anything you want in life, Mark. And I was like, yeah, Dad. America's the best country. Anything you want to do, you set your mind to it, you can do it. So my dream was, I wanted to live on the ocean. I wanted to own a minor league baseball team. No illusions I wanted to own a minor league baseball team. One 8, 9-year-old kid wants to own a minor league baseball team. And
minor league baseball team.
Yeah, not a pro. I want to own a minor league baseball team because I thought that'd be more fun. And if things went sideways, I could put myself in center field. And I wanted to, I want to be a rock star. Right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
who doesn't?
Right. So, but again, my dad told me. So, and then I wanted to be a teacher, history teacher. So, I don't live on the ocean, but when I was in Deltona, I was 20 minutes from the ocean. Now I'm a little further, but I'm pretty close to the ocean.
Sure.
I don't own a minor league baseball team, but I own a minor league women's soccer team. And I'm not a rock star, but I got 14 guitars and I can sure play them. So, and then I'm a history teacher. So what I like to say, am I in the city? No, but I'm in the area code. You know what I mean? So my dad was right. I didn't quite get to the city, but I got in the area code. So yeah, I pretty much, you can do anything you want that you set your mind to.
Absolutely.
And then transferring that to cards, right, Craig? Hey, I want some Hank Aaron's, right? I mean, Hank's my guy. I got these few handful of Hank Aaron's from when I was a kid. Well, I got all that stuff in the closet. I'm going to set my mind to getting some Hank Aaron's.
Yeah.
And
you got a few.
Yeah, here you go.
You sent me a real nice 72.
Right. Hank Aaron.
What is that, 57? 67.
Yeah, Hank. Right. So
that's a nice Hank.
Yeah. And, they're not perfect, but again, do I need a $200 Hank Aaron? No, $1,000 Hank Aaron? Or does a $30 model do just fine? Thank you.
Yeah.
I can live, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I taught, right, put them in the one touch. Those creases, you can't see them.
That was one of the first things I remember you telling me. I think you sold me a 1973 Nolan Ryan that was pretty beat up.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, and I get it. And you said, just put it in the one touch. And it was a great price. So that wasn't the issue. It was just like, man, do I really want this? And I put it in the one touch and it shined it right up. It really did. It was great. And I remember that every time. And now I'm a big one touch believer.
Me too.
It was funny. I clearly remember you telling me that.
But yeah, it cleans them up. That there you go. You're learning our secrets, people. Mark and Greg's secrets. If you got a card that's a little shaky, and you're, do I need the $100 model or can I get the $20 model? You put the $20 model on that one touch, it's gonna shine, and especially from a distance. So
just don't get too close; it'll be radioactive.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You get close, nothing's gonna help some of them, but that's how you do it.
Getting back to what you're talking about, though, that Clarence Scott story is pretty cool, and I'm sure a lot of older athletes really kind of, once they're out of the limelight, if you're not a GOAT or something like that, it's just a regular, probably made a Pro Bowl or two or whatever. I'm sure he enjoys that, the interaction with you. And I mean, we'll save this for another episode, but you're I want to hear more about Frank Howard.
Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Me and Frank. Holy cow.
Not the big hurt Frank Thomas, the old school Frank Thomas,
the original. And he'll let you know he's the original. And that's another person out there, people. If you want to interact with he's like 95 now, still on the ball. Another one. He'll call you. He'll write you back. Now, he requests donations for his stuff. But like Greg said, we'll spend some more time on Frank Thomas. But another one that, I got a Christmas card from him. It's just, amazing, just an incredible man. Just, and that's when you take those, values and, you're not chasing Hall of Famers and, you're not all starstruck. You can have those relationships that are important.
Right. Right. And this is, this has been fun. I've been looking forward to doing this for, since we started talking about putting this together for the last 2 weeks. And it's just stories like this, what y'all can come to expect from us, I think, going forward, just two regular dudes getting on here talking about cards and kind of waxing a little bit, on different things. But, I think we've got a lot to talk about here in the coming weeks and months. Just getting some people on here and getting our thoughts and everything out into the world. I've been super excited, and I've haven't really told a whole bunch of people that we're doing
this is going to be
this is going to be interesting.
Mark and Greg.
Here we are. But I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Looking for deals and trying to further my collection and put together a few sets of some older sets and things like that. And, maybe, pick your brain a little bit more to because I'm sure you probably got every Buffalo Bill card ever made.
I'm close. Well, and I'll be honest, and when it gets to, here it is as a Bills fan, I'll be honest with you, I don't have any OJ Simpson cards.
Yeah, is that by design?
There's another guy that I met when I was a kid. Had some great interactions with OJ through my dad. My dad was in the food business. OJ was repping Tree Sweet orange juice, and I just can't reconcile that whole thing. I don't, did he do it? I don't know, but I just can't. It's not the dude that I hung out with when I was a little dude, when I was a little boy. And so other than OJ, yeah, I got it pretty much locked down. But I just, whatever. Hey, I got a family, and whatever happened there happened, but it's not representative of anything that I can get behind.
Right.
That's just being honest. You agree with me, say, hey, Mark, whatever, you're crazy, but that's just my feeling. And like Greg, I'm a big fan of feelings and opinions, and that's what makes people. That's the spice of life. We're not meant to be the same. We're not meant to be drones. We can disagree as long as we respectfully disagree. We're not meant to all share the same view. As long as we present it respectfully and politely, we should be able to move on to something else, or maybe even find common ground in that disagreement where we can achieve peace. My kids in my room ask me a lot, Mr. Ford, Mr. Ford. No, well, that's my dad. My dad's still alive, thankfully, but no, Mr. Ford. So it takes some getting used to being called Mr. Ford all day. Instead of coach, I was coach for 25 years. Now I'm Mr. Ford. Or professor, doctor. No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professor. I'm just,
People call you Dr. Ford.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Ford. I raised my head up the first time I heard that in the room. Oh, Dr. Ford. I'm like, you talking to me? Dr. Ford. Okay. I'm not a doctor. Okay, Dr. Ford. But it is good kids, but they ask, and then they're curious. Like I said, it's an alternative school, second chance U, I call it. It's a wide array of kids.
Great show, by the way. You seen Second Chance U?
Exactly. That's why I said second chance U. It's for education. And they ask, how did, what shaped you? And I tell them the one big event that shaped me, and this just gets back to agreeing to disagree, was Ronald Reagan. I'm getting presidency and politics and all, but Reagan at the Brandenburg Gates. I urge anybody that wants to get chills up their spine and feel the power of the spoken word in America, find Reagan at the Brandenburg Gates on YouTube. Mr.
Is that
Gorbachev,
when he went to Germany during the mid '80s?
That speech is a tour de force of patriotism, of red, white, and blue. It's amazing, but when it gets down to it, Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, and he did. Why? Because they liked each other, because they found common ground.
Right.
And it happened. So that's a great example. And that's what I tell them, that really shaped me because I was their age. I was a teenager at the time, and tear down this wall. And I'll be darned if he didn't.
Yeah, he sure did. So, I remember clearly.
But you need to find that common ground. So we can't be arguing about, things about cards, about sports, about politics, about life. It's, hey, you got your opinion? Cool. Good for you. I love it.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to have opinions. We're not supposed to be the same. We're meant to be different.
Right. So, I agree.
Which as we get talking about the cards that we love and the sets that we love or don't love, I'm sure me and you are going to have some disagreements, but we're not going to be calling each other stupid and right? Because it's we all have our own beliefs.
That's true. That's very true. Well, we're an hour into this, Mark.
Holy cow, Greg, an hour. Well, that's good. After we edit it down, and it'll be a little less. But yeah, so again, people, as Greg says, we're about an hour in, so we'll probably wrap it up for this week. We're going to try to do this every week. Moving forward, you'll probably see me in my classroom because I am a school teacher. And, Greg, we don't know what we'll catch Greg, but we hope to do some live things. But definitely get something out there every week and bring in some people that we love and respect and have impacted us. And moving forward, we will be sharing cards from our collection and talking more about specific cards. I hope I didn't bore you. My Greg was scintillating. I mean, I was on every word. I'm not worried about, Greg was dynamite. I might have bored y'all a little bit. If I did, I apologize. In the comments, said everybody down below, smash the like button down below. Leave a comment, say Ford, shut up. We hate you. That's cool. Like I said, we can agree to disagree.
So, I don't know about scintillating, but I brother, I was listening to you, man. It was a good time.
You're on point, dude. You're on point. It's like I said, it's I've been blessed to meet you and call you friend and brother, and this will give us the opportunity to get out together face to face and hit some shows, and maybe we'll go up and see Clarence Scott. Hey Clarence, Absolutely. We're coming, and
I'm sure he'd welcome us.
So just one thing, Greg, we can find him on, as we progress, we're going to have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for the show, all that stuff. But right now it doesn't matter. Again, we're not pretentious. We're not looking for pounding the like button. It's just me and Greg and hanging out with you all. But Greg has a lot of great sales on vintage sales, on fire sales, on the Facebook card forums. And good cards, not expensive, like $1 to $4, $5. Sometimes there's some amounts in there, a little more money. But again, you'll get to meet them, you'll get to know them, and the cardboard will become secondary. I'm, 25 cents, 50 cents. I'm in the same spots, and
those things fly out of there when you sell them.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I'll tell you, you don't get a crease card, you don't get a dinged up corner, and every card I send you comes in a penny sleeve, and you're going to get extra cards, So there's not too many guys selling 25 cent, 50 cent cards that are penny sleeve and everything, wrapping it up good, making sure you get it, and giving you a little surprise. But it's just because I love it. It's not the money. So, yeah, you can find us there. And we'll be back next week. And if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want us to talk about, our email is cardstream1 @gmail.com. Cardstream1. You can leave a comment down below on maybe a player, a set, cards that you'd like to talk about. We'll talk about it. Heck, we might even have you on if you want to be on the show, and you can put a sets together. We'll bring you on in. Or not. It's not all about us.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Craig, we'll wrap it up. I thank you so much, my brother, for doing this with me. And this has kind of been a dream come true. We're in the city on this one. We're not just in the area code. This is good.
Right on. I'm
All
excited
right.
to see where this takes us, man. And it's been great talking with you, Mark. And we'll see everybody next week.
All right. Stream of Card Consciousness. So my brother Greg Smith, and I am Mark Ford saying thank you.
Peace, everybody.